Hey, it's Dan, and welcome back to flipflopgaming. Today we're going to be doing a showcase video, and I'll be touring you through my large world in vanilla Terraria. I've got different houses built in different biomes, and I've got my main house as well that's decorated with quite a bit of different influences from the various biomes that you'll see around the world. So yeah, sit back and enjoy the show. Alright, welcome to my haven. Let me get rid of our UI there. So this is my main home base. This is basically where I have all of my storage. And I'll just show you the map here so we can see. So I have built a city in the clouds. And just to explain kind of my concept for designing my main house is I basically wanted to touch on nearly all the different biomes that you see in the world and basically make just a grid of each biome. So, you know, in a lot of these you can see there's the underground part and the above ground, underground dungeon, and just the forest biome. So that's basically the goal, is to incorporate as much as I can from different biomes into the house and just, decorate with different pieces of furniture. So we're first going to start with the left side. So the first room that we come across here is the underground cavern. So I, decorated that mostly with stone and dirt, put a few chests in there and some basic tables. And then right above that is sort of its pair. So a lot of these areas are kind of paired off with the above ground and below ground versions. So above the cavern is going to be just the forest. So I kind of mock created some, like a living tree there, that we might find in the world itself. And I have different NPCs and critters included in some of the different rooms around here. I tried to keep it applicable to where you might find them in the game. Like, this is the guide and he starts in the forest because that's where you always start in the game. So I included him. He's made his home in the forest room, and the cavern is kind of the second area you would explore in progression, and usually one of the first NPCs you'll get after the guide is the merchant, so I put him there. And you also see some armor sets in here as well. Let me give my UI back. So we've got like the miner's armor set that you typically find in the underground. I do have like the spider armor, which is found in spider nests, which are also underground, and then just the gold armor, in terms of you are mining gold usually in the underground, so I just included that armor set, as well as the armor from, I think it's from Tim, the wizard there. So that's the first two rooms, and I've got the ninja armor that drops from King Slime, and then just your basic wood armor, and then pumpkin armor, all things that you basically get in the forest biomes. So continuing left, we've got the desert, both above ground and underground desert. And underground, we've got the fossil armor and the forsaken armor set that you find, or you create in hard mode. And I've kind of decorated all the different areas. I've tried to decorate it like what the biome actually looks like. So these platforms, I kind of copied what you'll see in the underground desert, just in how it's like themed and shaped and everything. We've got the hard sandstone on the outside and then sandstone in the middle. And I've also gotten the themed hanging lanterns, chandeliers, candles, tables, some workbenches in there, as well as the chests that you'll find. And these chests are mostly empty, but sometimes I'll incorporate, or I'll just put in some of the furniture that maybe I didn't find a place for and didn't end up putting it in there. And then the above ground, we have the desert where cactus will grow, and we've got a couple cactus chests and some cactus furniture as well. And we've got the cactus armor, we've got the mummy vanity set, so things that kind of just belong here. So we got the first 2 levels on the left hand side. Let's talk about the first 2 levels on the right hand side. So obviously this is going to be your snow biome or underground ice cavern. So these are similarly decorated with your ice furniture, or the above ground is going to be boreal wood furniture and items there. And I kind of wanted to create, you can see some of the connections in here between the rooms are, it's basically just a straight line, but a lot of times, moving above and below different areas, you'll see the transition is a little bit more fluid. So, if we step over here, on these 2 tiles, now we've got the jungle and the underground jungle. The underground jungle was a little tricky because, there's the temple that lives in the underground jungle and the beehive, and I wanted to capture all those as well as the underground jungle theme itself. So those all kind of have their separate areas. Also have the armor sets that you might get here. Chlorophyte armor, because you find chlorophyte in the underground jungle, turtle armor obviously, and then the beetle armor. And I've also got the ancient cobalt, I think that's ancient cobalt armor set, which you find from monsters in the underground jungle, the bee armor obviously, and we've got a bee chest in here as well with the hive wand. And then above ground a lot, the furniture set I used was all the bamboo stuff, since that is kind of applicable. And you do have the rich mahogany wood furniture, but I kind of used that in the underground area, so I wanted to differentiate between those. And I included the jungle armor up top, just because there's already 4 armor sets below, or 5 armor sets. So I just kind of spread it out. So we've got the jungle armor, the shaman armor, what's that called? Tiki armor, that's right. So the tiki armor, which, when you put the witch doctor in a house in the jungle, he'll sell that to you. So I included that there. And I think we've just got some rich mahogany armor here. Yep. So that's the bottom 2 levels as far as the biomes. And now let's talk about the center a little bit. So each level in this center pillar is for a specific purpose, and I've put signs here to kind of show what the room is. So the bottom floor is the blacksmith. We've got some of our most common crafting stations, workbench, anvil, the chlorophyte, whatever that's called, I can't remember. We've got our adamantite forge, and then we've got a few different chests here. Almost all the chests are pretty well labeled with what I've gotten them. So this has got all my ore, and we've got all the different bars, the piggy bank here, and then gems and gem corns, and then just other random materials that I didn't really have a great spot for are here. And I've got a chain ladder throughout the whole central area. So this is the armory. This is basically just for armor. Oh yeah, the dresser here. I think I've just got some spare sets in there. But we've got crafted armor, dropped armor, so armor that drops from enemies or you purchase from merchants, things that aren't craftable. And that's got nothing. And I also themed, we've got just this, I think it's the Indiana Jones set, basically, treasure hunter. And then we've got just this mannequin with platinum armor there and just a couple armor statues. And here we have all the vanity armor sets. Yeah, we can change our look if we want on the dresser there, and yeah, just some overflow vanity armor. In the next level, we're getting into weapons. So we've got fighter weapons and ranger weapons, and those are then separated down into different categories. So we've got, you know, our box of all of the swords that we've collected. We've got all the yo-yos, the ranged fighter weapons, which is anything that basically has range, except for yo-yos, because yo-yos are large enough to have their own. So this is mostly all your throwables, boomerangs, you know, the anchors in here. So mostly boomerang type weapons. And this other category is a lot of spears for the most part. And then, you know, we've got the bladed glove and the bagnaks, things of that sort. And I wanted to put, you know, these item or weapon mounts on the walls there, just to kind of put something there that gives an idea of where you are without having to specifically look at these signs. You can just see, oh, you know, this is a whip, this is a summon item, you know, this is the mage area. So you can see just at a glance what's in there. So we've got, you know, bows, guns, a lot of other stuff. So like, you know, snowball cannon or a few things from the Halloween event, and just all the different ammunition here. And then I've got like a box of throwables in here, so like grenades, javelins, things of that nature. And the last one for weapons is going to be the mage, and then summoners. We got rods and staves, books and other, and then we got magic guns. And then summons just have, you know, the summon themselves, and then your whips. So that's the first two levels. So let's jump up a level and go to rows 3 and 4. So starting on the very left, I set this up to imitate a crimson. So we've got the underground crimson and then just the surface crimson here. And I didn't want to bring actual crimson blocks in here because it makes basically this whole house not livable by NPCs. So instead, I think I did this as lead ore or something like that, and I just dyed it a different color, so that's why it's very sparkly, because I have my pet on. Maybe not that pet. Oh, I have to take him off. There we go. So that's why it's all sparkling. But yeah, so this is all ore that has been colored to look like the crimson area, and then this is like some of the crimson furniture, which is like guts and visceral type items, and then, you know, a door, an eyeball door here, and then the surface has gotten the crimson wood, and I used a regular tree here again because you can't plant a crimson wood tree. You can only plant an acorn, and because this isn't crimson, I just dyed it red. So it's kind of as close as I could get, but, you know, above ground we've got this crimson wood armor, and then the crimson wood furniture sets, and then below ground it's a little hard to see because of the background, but we've got the crimson armor set there. And then moving along here, we've got hell basically. So grabbed a lot of the obsidian and made different types of backgrounds. I put a lava pool in here and just put some lava waterfalls. I've also got some living flame, which I think turned out pretty cool. And above that, we've got the underground mushroom biome. I didn't do an above ground, so it's just the underground mushroom biome, since you don't typically see them above ground. And across here on the other side, we've got the hallow surface and hallowed underground. So we can see that's kind of decorated. And I can't remember if I just dyed these stones or if it's actually pearl wood. I think it might be pearl wood. But yeah, we've got the hollowed armor. I put the wizard in here just because it seemed like a good place for him. And then we got the crystal assassin armor that drops off queen slime. And then above ground, you know, we've got the pearl wood trees, or what's supposed to look like the pearl wood trees, and then pearl wood furniture sets as well. And then to finish off that, I did our crimson here. The corruption. So this is the surface corruption and underground corruption. And I think I did this with marble blocks and just colored them. So we've got the crimson, or the ancient shadow armor set down here. A couple of the corruption, some of the corruption furniture pieces. And then above, you know, we've got the shade wood, I think. Shade wood furniture pieces. And I did put glass behind anywhere I wanted it to be like a surface. It's just glass behind there to still make it a complete room. And into the center area, down here we've got tools and utilities. So, you know, any tools, hammers, pickaxes, axes, other utility type items. So like contaminator solutions, some, you know, rods of harmony for teleportation, the portal gun, sponges, things of that nature, just some miscellaneous, you know, the bone wand, hive wand, things like that. And then here we've got hooks, wings, explosives, and that's pretty much it for the tools and utilities. And then here, this is the accessory room. So I've got the goblin workbench that you could use for combining your accessories. And then, you know, we've got melee accessories, defense, magic and summon, ranged, movement, and buffs on that side. And then we've got, you know, footwear, so all your different boots, health and mana accessories, protection. So these are all your Ankh charm immunities. And we've got informational items. So this is everything to build your, eventually the shell phone that'll just display all the information here on the side. And then we've got some utilities. So this, you know, fishing accessories or building accessories, I've included all those here, as well as, you know, even though the magic mirror isn't really an accessory, it's kind of a tool like that. I suppose it could also go in the tools area. But yeah, I just included it here. And then this is just overflow of anklets and aglets. And then here we've got our alchemy lab. So all the plants needed for potions, all of our actual potions that we've mostly found. I rarely craft potions. Oh yeah, so those are buff potions, and these are for, you know, HP or MP regen potions. And we've got the crystal ball here just as to kind of add some decoration. And then the alchemy lab. Oh yeah, these are just some random overflow items. And then seeds, dye ingredient, and then dyes. Kind of fit with the alchemy lab theme. And then we've got the kitchen where we've got some animals in here. And we've got a chef's outfit, so it kind of does look like a kitchen. And we've got a table with some food and goblets and and ice cream, it looks like. Our different cooking ingredients that we might find, fruits and stuff. And then all of our fish. And then here we've got the actual cooked food. And then I guess this is just to overflow. So that's it for that level. And let's go to the left-hand side. So this will be the top two layers. So this is obviously the ocean biome decorated with the palm wood furniture and the house and everything. And I put a little makeshift ocean in here with a water chest, since that's pretty commonly found there. I'm going to put a life preserver. And I'll cover the top last. So this is the underground marble biome, and just with some marble furniture. I put the hoplite armor in here because that's what's most commonly found in the underground marble biome. So I just put that armor in here. Seemed to be a good addition. And then over here we've got the underground granite biome. This one I think looks pretty cool just because it's all dark, and the furniture itself, I really like how this looks. So this turned out pretty cool. And these look like crystal balls, but they're the lights. And then we've got our dungeon biome here. So I just grabbed a bunch of stuff from the actual dungeon itself and threw that in here. So I thought that turned out pretty cool. You know, we've got skeleton wall hangings, a lot of books and shelves and things like that. And then the top layer is basically built with all the lunar stuff. So from the 4 lunar pillars, you'll defeat, you get the different ores and the fragments. And so I made this. They all look identical. They're just themed after each of the different areas. So we can see all the 4 of them here. Stardust, what is that? Solar, Nebula, I think is this one, and yeah, I can't remember the last one. Been a while since I've done that. Okay, and we'll just talk about the last central area here. So this is our bestiary. We've got critters. So we've got like a lot of the gemmed critters as well. Bait. We've got some other gold grasshopper. Yeah, some other cages here. We've got the gold bird and gold squirrel there. Different pets. Utility pets, so that's what I've got following me. He's a little treasure chest. You can hear him. Sounds really funny. But yeah, he's just basically a piggy bank that follows me around. So really useful, but that's where the utility comes in. And then all the mounts here. Not all these are pets, obviously, but if I'm putting some mounts and most of them are like animals, I'm just going to include them all in there. This is kind of just general storage. So plant blocks, earth blocks, so like dirt, rock, stone, things like that. Or, sorry, dirt and not stone. I have a whole box for stone, so like crimstone, ebonstone, things like that. Other blocks, and then just, other buildables, so chests. Got a whole thing of biome drops in here, music boxes, different types of bricks, monster. These are all my statues, and I decided to save all my graves. I don't know why I like to see how many graves I have, but I did it. All the different crafting stations, just other furniture pieces, wall hangings, random things like this. These last 2 rooms are, this is a monster room, so it's got all and I decorated it with like a bone wall and some bone furniture as well. And so this is just like drops from the monsters and then all the banners. So we got normal banners, hard mode banners, event banners, and then lunar banners. And then the last room up top here is going to be our boss room. So this has got like vanity masks from the bosses. We've got trophies, and then I've got the 4 stations for buffing your character here, all of our summon items, and then all the expert mode boss gear. This is not an expert world because I just wanted to build on this one, but yeah, so that's the house. So let me just jump down real quick to the floor. So I built 2 rope ladders that go all the way up. And this is basically my farming station. So anytime there's like an event, or we've got the frost moon or the pumpkin moon or something, I can just flip that switch. The granite here is all actuated, so that disappears and everything falls onto the conveyor belt that I have. So I can just hang out here. I'll switch to my summoner loadout, summon all my what's that called? Terra Prisma, and then just hang out here during, I just had a solar eclipse event, so I just sat here and waited for everything to come to me. So yeah, that's it for the main area. So let me just double check. I think I'm gonna do a little bit of running. Yeah, let's start to the right. Actually, let's make this quicker. So I did make the entire world, and this is a large world too. So I made the entire world runnable. So all the cliffs have been shrunk, like brought down, ground down, so that you can just run across them. So that's pretty nice. You can basically just run. You can see some of the areas where, you know, I filled in missing terrain, or, you know, cut in holes and, you know, mountains that were sticking up just to make it smoother. But yeah, I basically made the entire world runnable. So this is one of the first house we'll see. I do have all the pylons. So I do actually have the universal pylon, which means I did complete the bestiary on this world. So I have seen every enemy, NPC, every boss, everything like that. So I've seen it all, and I've gotten the universal pylon, and then I've displayed or put out, you know, in each different biome, I put the applicable pylon out so I can teleport around the map as needed. And so at each pylon, I kind of decorated. So obviously, you know, we're in the desert, so I did a pyramid here. All the biomes are going to be decorated in a similar fashion. So like this is supposed to look like something that relates to my main house, or just that's applicable for the biome we're in. And one thing I installed in most of these houses as well is a little teleporter. So this teleporter actually takes us to an underground farming area for, you know, whichever biome we're in. And I've decked all of them out with, you know, a heart lantern, a campfire to help with healing. We've got a water candle, and then, you know, whatever applicable banners for, you know, the enemies that we might fight here. So yeah, and then, you know, I can just sit up top here while my Terra Prisma handles the hard part for me. But because the ground and areas to the left and right are just out of view for my character, that means enemies will spawn there. So I can just sit up on this platform and just wait for things to get spawned. So that's the first one, and let's continue on. Now that we've kind of seen what I'm working with, I'm just gonna fly quickly to get to the next area. So the next one you can guess is gonna be our jungle. So I've got that house coming up in just a second. Here we go. So I designed the jungle surface house to just kind of be like a mud castle. So decorated with mud bricks. I used a lot of the rich mahogany furniture. We have the jungle pylon here with a couple NPCs. And then we can see our underground jungle farm area. And then this was positioned pretty close to the temple. So if we ever want to go back down to the temple, we can always just run in and go here. So it's all pretty close. So if I ever decide I want to go back in and battle the golem again or something, I can do that pretty quickly. Let's see, there's not too much in between here, so I'll just pile on over to the forest. So this is my forest house. I put it in between like several living wood trees. And this is probably the only part of my world that's, I would say, is not really complete. I had intended on doing a garden here and planted all the different types of plants, but I haven't gotten to that yet. And then down here we've got our underground cavern area, so I can just come down here and farm, you know, anything that shows up in the cavern layer. Let's see, I think yeah, let me just pylon over here. So this cavern pylon is actually meant to be my shimmer area, so I can just run over here and go straight to the shimmer. Whenever I need to. And so, yeah, this is my cavern pylon. This actually goes all the way to the surface from here. So if we wanted to, we can go, you know, over to the ocean. And let's go back here. So that'll be it for the right side. And the left side, I did actually modify, so you can see this used to be a crimson or a corruption biome, but I wanted to create a crimson biome, so we have both on this world. So I've actually just created this as the crimson biome, so I just converted it with the contaminator. And I am still monitoring to make sure I don't get any leftover. I've basically cleansed the world save for the 2 designated areas. So the hollow zone, my underground hollow, the crimson, and then corruption over on the side. But let's head to my hollow area. So I just built this is out of pearl stone bricks, and then we've got some of the pearl wood as well. We can teleport down here to the underground hallow farming area. It's going to be set up similar to the others. I don't have an underground crimson or underground corruption area, just because I got bored of building all those, and I had already gotten all the creatures, and you know, if I want to farm anything like that, I can just go create another world or something. But yeah, so this is snow biome that I made it like an igloo. I felt like that was appropriate. And I also, in most of that biome houses as well, I added a little fishing area too. So when I was working on all my fishing quests, I could come in here and just teleport around and capture any of the fish that I needed depending on the biome. And this is my underground frozen biome. Kind of cool. I tried to keep most of these underground biomes like natural looking, and I think it turned out pretty well. And the last one I want to show you guys is going to be the ocean biome. So obviously I had to include the pirate and the angler here, so they're both hanging out. And this is just, you know, mostly with palm wood. I used hay for the roof up here. Thought that was a pretty cool touch. Almost looks like a beach shanty type of thing. And obviously, you know, it's your ocean pylon. I put a little seahorse in a cage, and the seagull too. So yeah, let's just head back. I think that, oh, there is one more thing. I set up an underground, I think this was already a house. So this was already an underground mushroom biome house that I kind of rebuilt, made livable, and I put the shaman down here. And then, you know, obviously I've got my own fishing spot here. And then this is a pretty decent underground mushroom area. It's got the altar, the demon altar here, and like this is a pretty decent sized section, and up here is a decent sized section as well. So it's got a decent amount of farming area if I ever needed to do that. And let's go back home. Alright, so that will do it today for the Terraria Vanilla World Tour. I hope you guys enjoyed what I've built. It definitely took a lot of planning, especially for the house part. But yeah, it was a lot of fun to build. I'm not usually a big builder like this, so it was a lot of fun to make this. And I definitely enjoyed showing you guys. So I hope you enjoyed watching it, and like and subscribe if you want to see future content. And aside from that, we will see you on the next one.